Hello Year 4, this is your English lesson for Friday the 29th of January. As I said yesterday, we're going to be doing another guided reading lesson today so that next week we can really focus on the invention part of our Escape from Pompeii text, okay? So just to get us thinking this morning, we're going to start by watching a video and I've got 3 questions for you. So the questions are, how do snakes detect their prey? What evidence is there to show that the hatchling kept his nerve? So if you listen carefully to the narrator of the video clip, you'll hear the narrator say that the hatchling kept his nerve. So what evidence is there to show that? And then finally, what evidence is there in the video of team difference? What evidence is there to show that the hatchling kept his nerve? Well, right at the beginning, we saw the hatchling staying really still when the snakes were slithering near him. He stayed really, really still, didn't he? Even when the snake got really close to him. Then he had to run off, and then later I think he also kept his nerve because he kept on fighting, didn't he? He didn't give up. Even when they caught him, he struggled and got his way out of those snakes, and then he jumped up and escaped from them, even though it probably was really terrifying and they were right behind him. He kept on going. And then choice, what evidence is there of teamwork? Well, it's the snakes that work together as a team, isn't it? If you looked carefully in the video, you saw snakes coming out from all directions to chase the prey. So hopefully you realised that the snakes were working together to try to catch their prey. Okay, so hopefully that got you thinking and using some of our comprehension skills. Let's have a look at our walk for today. So we are going to be moving on from summarising text that we've been working on in our last 2 guided reading lessons. And today we're going to be thinking about language, okay? So our walk is to discuss words and phrases that capture the reader's interest and imagination. Okay, so we're really looking at words and phrases in detail today. So who is the reader? Well, the reader is obviously anybody reading the text. And interest and imagination, what do those words mean? Again, you can discuss this if you're with somebody or just think to yourself for a moment. So what does interest and imagination mean? And also, will this be the same for every reader? Will the words that interest and spark imagination in readers be the same for every reader? Okay, hopefully you realise interest and imagination are really reflecting on what the reader likes in their reading and what captures their imagination. So if I read a word, such as, if we go back to our Escape from Pompeii text, I said to you then I really like the word billowed, didn't I? So that word captures my interest because I can imagine the way the soot and the ash were coming out of the volcano. So it sparks my imagination to picture that volcano and that volcanic eruption. So you can see how that particular word really interests me and captures my imagination and sparks me thinking about different ideas relating to the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. But will it be the same for every reader? I imagine some of you liked different words in our Escape from Pompeii text, okay? And we'll look at that in more detail when we see what our activity is for today. So there will be differences in the words and phrases that capture our interest and imagination. So sometimes we like some words or phrases more than others. What are some of your favourite words or phrases and why do you like them? So I don't mean just from our Escape from Pompeii text or just from the Romans text that we've been reading, but from any words or phrases you've read or heard. What words or phrases do you really like? So again, you can pause the video here and have a discussion, or if you're on your own, just think to yourself. So I've just added a few ideas of words or phrases that I like. So I've got billowed on there. We've discussed how I like that phrase before because I can imagine what that looks like and what it would have been like. I also really like the word minuscule because I like the way it sounds. I like the letters in it and I like the way it looks. And I like the way it makes me think about things that are really tiny and really, really small. Okay, and also a piece of cake. So that was a phrase that I thought I really like because it's a way of saying something was quite easy. So I would say, oh, running the race was a piece of cake. So it was something that was really easy, but I like the way it sounds and I really like cake. So I like that phrase. Okay, so I wonder what words or phrases interest you. Do share them with me later today if you can. So today we're going to be looking at words and phrases that you like and the reasons that you like them. It can be a tricky aim today, as when we're reading, we often don't pause to think about individual words. Normally we're just thinking about the plot of the story or what's happening to our characters, but we don't always think about individual words and the way they make us feel or the way they spark our imagination. So you're going to have to be reading detectives today, okay? You're going to have to work really closely to, you're going to have to read really closely to look carefully at individual words or phrases. So let's have a look at Emmitt's work. So I've got an extract here that I'm going to read, and then we'll have a look at the words that Emmitt's picked out and why he liked them. So we've got, and then in one terrible endless moment, they heard mighty Mount Vesuvius roar. Its top exploded in a scream and flames ripped upwards to the sky. A massive cloud of silver ash rose to the heavens, twisting and bubbling in every direction until everything was in total darkness. So Emmitt came up with two favourite words. Which is the best explanation and why? So the first word that Emmitt chose was rose. So he's put, my favourite word is rose because I like roses. They're pretty and I like pink ones the best as they smell the sweetest. Okay, and the second word that Emmitt picked out was roar. My favourite word is roar because it's a great use of onomatopoeia and it helps me to imagine what it sounds like. So which of those examples, which of Emmitt's explanations do you think is the best and why? So take a moment to think about this and read his explanations closely. Think about the words that he picked. He picked rose and roar. So think about what those mean in the text and think about the explanations he's given for liking them. Again, have a conversation with somebody if you can. If you can't, just think to yourself for a moment. So the first word that Emmitt picked was rose, and he explained that he liked that word because he likes roses, as in the flowers, roses. He says they're pretty and I like the pink ones the best because they smell the sweetest. But look back at the writing. Is that what the word rose meant in the writing? So the sentence said, a massive cloud of silver ash rose to the heavens. Were they talking about the flower type of rose, or were they talking about something else? Hopefully you've realised rose in that sentence was used as in when we mean something going upwards, something rising, okay? So Emmitt's actually got the wrong meaning for the word rose. So his explanation there isn't very good, is it? It's also not that interesting to read, just I like roses, they're pretty. I think we could put more detail into our answers today and think more about the language that we're actually reading. So let's look at Emmitt's second explanation. He's put, my favourite word is roar because it's a great use of onomatopoeia and it helps me to imagine what it sounds like. Now we've talked about onomatopoeias before when we wrote our Escape to Pompeii text. So those are words that sound like the word that it is. So things like bang, crash, they give us an idea of how that sound actually does sound in real life, okay? So the word roar, like almost like a lion's roar, isn't it, is an onomatopoeia because the way you say it sounds like the sound that that animal makes, okay? Or in this case, the way the mountain sounded, the volcano eruption sounded, okay? So talking about onomatopoeia is a really good explanation because Emmitt's really using his language and English skills there to explain why he likes that word. I like the fact as well that he's put, it helps me to imagine what it sounds like. So he's talked about the sort of images and the sounds he's hearing in his mind as he reads that word, okay? So that one is a much better explanation, isn't it? He's understanding the English skills, the onomatopoeia, and linking that to the word that he's picked, and he's explaining what effect that word has on his mind and his imagination, okay? Let's have a look at another example then. So I've got lightning flashed and thunder roared, streams of molten liquid flowed in fast rivers down the mountain slopes and covered a nearby town. The walls, streets and gardens of their beloved Pompeii disappeared beneath a blanket of ash and stones. So take a moment now, see if you can choose your favourite word or phrase in this extract and tell your partner or somebody that you're with why you have chosen it. So if you're in school, Mrs. Chamberlain can pause the video and you can have a discussion with somebody near you. If you're at home, try and talk to an adult that you're with, or if you're on your own, then just think to yourself, or you could even jot your ideas in your exercise book. So look back at the extract I just read. Which is your favourite word, or it could be a phrase, a couple of words, and why. See if you can explain why you've chosen that, and then I'll share my ideas in a moment. Okay, I hope you've had a chance to discuss your favourite words or phrases. Don't forget you can pause the video at any point if you need more time. So let's have a look at my favourite words and phrases and my explanations. So I've got, my favourite word is flashed. So I picked this word here, lightning flashed. The word helps me to imagine the speed of the lightning and how it lit up the sky in a flash of light. I can also sense how scared the people in Pompeii would have felt when this was happening. Okay, so I've talked about how that word showed me the speed of the lightning and how it lit up the sky with light. Okay, so that's kind of explaining what images I saw in my imagination when I read that word. And I also added in that the sense that it gave me of how people would have felt at the time in Pompeii. Okay, so try and link your understanding of what's actually happening as well. Let's have a look at my second example then. So my favourite word is beloved. So at the end when it said, their beloved Pompeii. So I chose beloved. This word shows me how the residents of Pompeii felt about their city. It was a special place, their home. I can imagine how devastated people would have been that Pompeii had been destroyed. Okay, so I picked out that word because I could really feel the emotion of the word beloved, explaining how people felt about Pompeii. And again, I've linked it to the people in our story and the people who experienced that volcano eruption, in how devastated they would have been that that happened to a place that they really loved and was really special to them. Okay, so those are some examples to help you with your explanations today. So that's the sort of answers we're looking for in your writing to show why you liked particular words or phrases. So let's have a look at the activity that you're going to be doing. So I'd like you to write your date and your WALT neatly in your exercise book. You've got an extract here, and I've put that on the daily plan for today. So if you're able to print it, brilliant. You can print it off and glue that into your exercise book. If you're not able to print it, don't worry, it's not necessary. You can just read it and write your answers into your exercise book. Don't feel you need to copy it out, okay? It's not that important. It's just there if you can print it. So what I would like you to do then for your Go Deep is choose between these two words, destroyed or ruined. Okay, so I've given you two words there. That's for your Go Deep. So down here, I prefer the word, so whether you've picked destroyed or ruined. This is because, so then, like I did in those examples, explain why you liked which of those words, destroyed or ruined. Okay, so whichever you've picked, give me an explanation for why you liked it. And then your Go Deeper, I've given you 5 words: frantically, chirped, trapped, hanging and flying. And you can see on my example here, I've numbered the words. So I would like you to rank them in order. So 5 being the word you find most interesting or most captures your imagination, and number 1 being the least interesting to you. Okay, so out of those 5 words, I've put them in bold so that you'll know which 5 words I'm talking about, and they're also on the daily plan for today. Okay, so put those 5 words in order, and then you need to explain why you put them in that order. So I ranked the words in this order because, okay, and again, that's on the daily plan for you. Okay, I'm just going to go through your instructions again, just to make sure everybody's really clear. So you need to write the date and WALT. If you're able to stick this extract in, then please do. If you're not able to, don't worry, you can just read it off the daily plan on your computer screen or your tablet screen, whatever you're using. You need to pick out favourite words or phrases in that and say why. So just like I did. So my favourite word or phrase from this extract, and this is because. Okay, so just like I did. So don't forget, these were my examples of how I've written my favourite word and why. Once you've done that, your Go Deep then is to pick whether you liked destroyed or ruined best and explain why. So I prefer the word, out of those 2, I would probably pick ruined. So I prefer the word ruined. This is because. So again, explain why you like that particular word. And then for your Go Deeper, put the 5 words in order from the word you found most interesting or most sparked your imagination, being number 5, down to number 1 being the word that sparked your imagination least or interested you least. Okay, when you've managed to rank them, then explain why you ranked them in that order. Okay, so 3 different tasks to do there. I hope you enjoy looking at the writing in detail and that language in detail. your answers will be different to people around you if you're in school. So if you're in the key work group, don't worry what other people are picking as their favourite words, because your favourite words will be different to you, I imagine. So pick words that really interest you and spark your imagination. And if you're at home, you can discuss this with people you're working with, and they will probably have different favourite words to you, okay, and that's fine. This is about seeing which words spark your imagination or interest you the most. Okay, good luck with your activity for today. Don't forget, when you're finished, you can leave me a learning pit to show me how you got on with this. This is our first lesson on looking at words and phrases in detail. So don't worry if you're not feeling too confident, just have a good go, and we'll be building on that in our next guided reading lesson as well. Okay, good luck with your work today, everybody. I look forward to reading your favourite words and hearing your ideas on why they sparked your interest and imagination.